The Election Petitions Tribunal on August 9 governorship election in Osun State has adjourned indefinitely for the final verdict. The chairman of the tribunal, Justice Elizabeth Ikpejime, gave the rulings today after the adoption of final written addresses by parties in the suit. While adopting his final written address filed on the point of law, counsel to Governor Rauf Aregbesola, Akin Olujimi, SAN, urged the panel to dismiss the petition, saying the petitioner failed to call evidence in 709 polling units out of the 939 polling units under contention. Mr. Olujimi told the tribunal that the petitioner was not able to prove his case, just as the counsel to the APC and his INEC counterpart, Rotimi Akeredolu, SAN, and Ayo Tunde Ogunleye, both adopted the position of the first respondent counsel. On his part, Mr. Akeredolu told the tribunal that the expert witnesses called by the petitioner were not reliable, noting that the results they produced were full of errors.
What we concentrated on was substantial non-compliance and lawful majority vote cast. In that regard, you don't need to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. It's on balance of probability. And the evidence led by the petitioner were unchallenged. They didn't have expert. We had expert. How many witnesses do we produce? They only have voters, people who were registered voters who gave evidence. So if we weigh them, our evidence outweigh their evidence. That's our case.
And also our position, which you see state, is that the petition is hopeless because assuming without conceding that the 914 polling units for which they tendered the result are deducted, we are still going to win with our 26,000 majority. And the rule of law in election petition, section 139 subsection 1, and the Buhari and Obasanjo made it clear that you must not only prove non-compliance, you must prove that non-compliance affected the result of the election. That if the affected areas are deducted, you will still win. So our contention is that assuming we even agree that they have established their case, which they have, of course they have not, we will still win the case. Then when you look at the case they have presented, they said they wanted to call 1,000 witnesses. They ended up calling 43. The witness that they called to be expert admitted in open court that the entries are false, and is now coming to tell the court that he should pick and choose from what is false and what is not false. What an absurdity.
Over 26 billion naira has been disbursed to the agricultural sector to help boost crop production in the dry season. This was announced by the president at the AgriFest event, which held at Eagle Square in the nation's capital, Abuja. President Goodluck Jonathan said the sector has grown enough to be a buffer for the nation in the face of falling oil prices. Taking a cue from the president's speech, the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, says he's optimistic that the turnaround in the sector, agriculture will soon become the new oil for Nigeria.
We have transformed the face of agriculture in Nigeria. Our country is producing more food than ever before. Our national food production has expanded by 21 million metric tons within the past 3 years. Our food import bill declined from 1.1 trillion naira in 2009 to 634 billion naira in 2013. Because by the time we get the figures for 2014, it will further decline. This is a progress, and we must continue to move forward. We can never go backward anymore. Great farmers of Nigeria, you can rely on me as the farmers' president. And even in my campaigns, I mentioned that in Benue State only yesterday, that Nigerians should reach out to you, the practical farmers. And if you are not happy with government, they should not even vote for me. We are totally committed to improving the life of our farmers. To further boost your efforts to produce more food for our nation, I am pleased to announce here today the release of under 26 billion naira towards the 2015 dry season farming program. I'm here today as your president. With your support, I hope to be here next year as your president, and then I will do even more for you, for our farmers, and for our dear country.
We are here today, over 20,000 farmers and agribusinesses from the 36 states of Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory. Today, they are here to celebrate the achievements of your agricultural transformation agenda. Just yesterday, in my office, checks worth over 123 million naira were given as grants to 27 young agripreneurs. You have opened a great future for them. With the fall in the price of crude oil, agriculture has become the new oil for Nigeria. With your support, we ended 4 decades of corruption in the fertilizer sector. Over the past 3 years, over 14 million farmers have received their subsidized seeds and fertilizers via e-wallet on the GES program. Many of them are women who never used to get subsidized fertilizers on seeds from government. Mr. President, you have given them hope. You inspire us to grow our own food. When the devastating floods occurred in 2012, the worst in the history of this country, there was panic everywhere. But President Jonathan did not panic. The dry famine has now changed the face of agriculture in Nigeria. Put your hands together for Mr. President.
The federal government has promised to continue with the transformation agenda of the president in the area of rail transportation until all Nigerians have access to train services. Vice President Namadi Sambo said this in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, while commissioning the Makurdi-Port Harcourt rail line. The Vice President said the federal government will ensure the completion of the Port Harcourt-Enugu-Makurdi-Kaduna line before the end of this current administration.
The trains are back in Benue State, and the people are not hiding their joy as the state cultural troupe entertains this gathering. The federal government is sparing no effort in convincing Nigerians about its achievement and what it has in stock for them. Here, the administration is showing off the results of its transformation agenda in the area of rail transport as the Vice President launches the Makurdi-Port Harcourt rail line. The newly introduced 5 68-seater coaches imported from China, according to the Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, are part of the completion process of the Makurdi-Port Harcourt Eastern Line that will link several communities.
By this extension, our passenger service from Port Harcourt to Makurdi, our communities and towns are now fully linked by passenger train service to Makurdi, Enugu, Umahia, Aba, and Port Harcourt.
For the host governor, Mr. Gabriel Suswam, it's a dream come true as he has the opportunity to ride on the train for the first time.
This is what is called transformation. It's not by engaging in propaganda. We are gradually witnessing a change, and changes take a long time to come.
The Vice President announces that all rail networks from the Eastern Rail Line through Makurdi to Kaduna, linking Kano to Lagos Western Line will all be connected.
Let me assure all Nigerians that the development of a sound railway system is a duty and obligation we owe our dear country, Nigeria. We made a vow to serve the Nigerian people, and we are doing just that. This administration will not rest on its oath until a totally workable railway system is accessible for an average Nigerian. Our word is our bond.
After cutting the tape, the Vice President and the company of some PDP leaders, including former Chairman Bamanga Tukur and other government officials, take a test drive to the admiration of Makurdi residents.
Ahead of the implementation date of the National Automotive Policy, the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria has appealed to the federal government to shift the date from April to October 2015. The national president of the association, Mr. Musa Shehu Isiwele, who made the appeal at a news conference in Abuja, says the shifting date of the implementation will reduce the hardship for commuters. The association said the appeal has become imperative as local manufacturers may not be able to meet the demand of transport owners if the national policy kicks in from April. The Vice-Chancellor of the Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike in Abia State, Professor Henry Edeoga, has appealed to the management of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to speed up action on the 522-bed modern hostel it is building for the students of the university. Professor Edeoga said this when the Commission's top officials came to inspect the hostel at the university campus. Meanwhile, the NDDC says it is set to commission a similar prototype hostel built at the University of Uyo in Akwa Ibom State.
This is the 522-bed modern hostel under construction at the Michael Okpara University of Agriculture in Umudike, Abia State. The level of work ongoing here is what has attracted the management of the Niger Delta Development Commission to the university. Though the building is still far from being habitable, the university authorities pleaded with the commission to speed up the work, and the NDDC promised to live up to expectations.
This project is more than 13 years old, and my happiness is that it is the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria that is now insisting that this project should be completed.
Our emphasis is on how to complete this ongoing project. And of course, the truth is that you do not have enough money to complete all of them at the same time. So we have to prioritize.
Umudike was not the only stop. The hostel sites at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital and that of the permanent site of the university were also inspected.
Now that we are set to commission, they will definitely need some finishing touches.
For the Niger Delta Development Commission, the provision of accommodation for students in tertiary institutions and its operating area is a priority.
When the news at 10 returns, analysts predict more Naira volatility in spite of central bank's intervention in the interbank market. That will be on Business News. Please join us again.